Hey guys, it's Dakota. Welcome to my channel. I am once again talking about the Hunger Games, but instead of talking about the Hunger Games in the past, I am now talking about the Hunger Games in the future. Yes, today I am predicting Sunrise on the Reaping, but to predict this new book, we have to look at the subtle context in the old ones. And by subtle context, I mean the things that Suzanne Collins directly told us in the text. So, in the actual Hunger Games trilogy, we know that Haymitch is an alcoholic and he also won his games, and that's pretty much all we know about him right off the bat. Later in Catching Fire, we learned about the Quarter Quells. The first one, the districts had to choose their own tributes. The second one, twice as many tributes were sent into the arena, and of course the third one, the tributes were reaped from the existing victors. Then on the way to the capital, Katniss and Peeta are re-watching old games, and they remember that Haymitch actually won the second Quarter Quell. They watch the District 12 reaping and see Haymitch and Maisily Donner, who Katniss knows as her friend Madge's aunt, and from viewing these tapes, she also realizes that Maisily Donner was best friends with her mother. Then, in Haymitch's interview with Caesar Flickerman, he says that he's not worried about the 100% increase in tributes because they are 100% as stupid as before. So when the second Quarter Quell actually starts, the setting is so beautiful that all the other tributes are distracted, so Haymitch actually has time to run into the cornucopia, grab a knife and a backpack, I believe. 18 are killed in the bloodbath, and pretty quickly the tributes realize that this entire arena is designed to kill them. Haymitch even gets attacked by carnivorous squirrels and stinging butterflies, and a lot of the other tributes are killed by poisonous plants, and even 12 are lost in a volcanic eruption. Haymitch then gets in a fight with 3 careers. He's quick enough to kill 2 of them, but as the third is about to slit his throat, that career is shot by a poisonous dart by Maisily Donner. The two team up and make a very good pair, but Haymitch is hellbent on getting to the edge of the arena because he's convinced that there's something there. They finally reach the edge of the arena during the final 5, and they realize that it's just a cliff. Maisily's kind of annoyed by this because she thinks that they made this big trek for nothing, and the two ultimately decide to split ways. Almost immediately, Haymitch realizes that when he knocks a pebble off the cliff face, it comes back up, and when he throws a rock off, it rebounds back up with the same force. As he's discovering this, Haymitch hears screaming from the woods, and when he runs out, he finds that Maisily has been attacked by pink birds that have literally speared through her neck, and Haymitch holds her hand as she dies. This same day, the final 5 goes to the final 2, and it's between Haymitch and a girl from District 1 with an axe. These two are going at it. Haymitch cuts her eye out, and she slices him so bad that he's literally holding his intestines into his stomach. He realizes that she is big and stronger than him, so he does the only thing he can think of. He runs to the edge of the arena. Haymitch is standing at the edge of the cliff, and the District 1 tribute decides to throw her axe at him. Because he is literally so exhausted, he drops to the ground and the axe goes over the edge. The District 1 girl is really not fazed by this. She's just kind of waiting for him to bleed out, and then at this time, the axe rebounds back and buries itself right in her head. Snow does not like that Haymitch used the Capitol's tool to work in his favor, and he calls it an act of defiance, and in punishment for this, he kills Haymitch's mother, brother, and girlfriend. And that's pretty much all we hear about Haymitch's games in the original trilogy. So then we have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I specifically want to talk about the impact that the Covey had on District 12. We know that the Covey are not really from District 12, they just got stuck there at the end of the Revolution. We also know that the Covey that we know with Lucy Gray is only a fraction of the original Covey because the other ones were killed by the Capitol. We know that there's 6 remaining Covey kids and they all have 2 names, one coming from a song and one coming from a color. The examples are Maud Ivory, Billy Tope, Barb Azure, Clerk Carmine, Tam Amber, and of course Lucy Gray. Except Lucy Gray, her entire name came from a song, not just the first name. We also know that the Covey sing and they sing to the Mockingjays, and we also know that singing and music is banned in District 12. But the Covey are wild people and they sing and wrote songs anyway, and they also spend a lot of time at the lake outside District 12. We also know that not only was Katniss shown the same lake by her father, but she knows some of the same songs, including the Valley Song, Deep in the Meadow, and The Hanging Tree, which was written by Lucy Gray herself. At the end of the book, Lucy Gray goes missing, and that is all that's explicitly stated about her. It never says whether she's alive or dead. I personally think that she died, but it was never truly confirmed. So that's kind of the gist about what we know about the Covey, but now let's get to the actual Sunrise on the Reaping excerpt. Immediately, we find out that Haymitch's birthday is actually on Reaping Day. We also learn that his brother's name is Sid and he's 10 years old. We also find out that Haymitch's father died in a coal mining accident, and although his mother is really scrappy and has done a great job keeping them alive, Haymitch still takes a lot of odd jobs and ventures outside of District 12 limits to find food. But the thing that most people are really centering in on is the fact that we find out that Haymitch's girlfriend is named Lenore Dove. And that's all we get from the excerpt. So I'm going to talk about speculative theories that are basically all but confirmed in the book. So the first, of course, is that the Coveys stayed around, teaching their music and traditions to their children, even if their children never explicitly grew up as Covey. The obvious example of this is Katniss Everdeen's knowledge of the lake and the songs, but also Katniss's father's ability to sing to the Mockingjays. And I would also like to point out that we never learn her dad's name in the original books. So he could have a Covey name. But we also know that Lucy Gray said that her sister Maude Ivory had the ability to memorize a song with just hearing it one time. She never even had to perform it. We also know that Katniss sort of inherited this as well because she heard her dad singing the Hanging Tree song and she can repeat it perfectly. So that leads many people to believing that Maude Ivory is Katniss Everdeen's grandmother. Then there's the District 12 fiddle player that as bombs are literally about to rain down, he grabs his instrument to take with him. He then plays at Finnick and Annie's wedding, and the Covey were very known to play at weddings. A little bit more of a reach, but also in the original series, there's a man that takes care of the goats, and a lot of people think that this could be Tam Amber, because he was the one primarily taking care of the Covey's goat. Then with Sunrise on the Reaping, we have Lenore Dove, who has two names, one of which could definitely be considered a color. And we also know that they spend time outside District 12, like the Covey did. So, of course, myself and others are pretty convinced that Lenore Dove is related to the Covey, but I do have some other predictions as well. Firstly, I think that Katniss's parents are going to be mentioned but not explored deeply. Specifically, I think that her father's name is going to be revealed and Lenore Dove is going to call him one of her cousins. I also think it's going to be revealed that Lenore Dove was the first person to bring Haymitch outside of District 12 limits, and she learned this from her family, the Covey. There will probably also be some scene of them at the lake. Also, this is not really a prediction, but I think that the arena is going to be modeled after like Yellowstone/Wyoming/Montana, where there's snow-capped mountains and flowers below, because it says that all the tributes were like amazed by the beautiful scenery. But here's where my predictions start to get interesting. I think that we're going to see some of the first home interviews with the tributes' families, including Lenore Dove and Haymitch's mother and brother. And I think that maybe it could be revealed that the three of them were killed because they defied the Capitol in their interviews. Hear me out. What if they ask Lenore Dove some sort of question about what she's going to do if Haymitch leaves and how she's going to cope, and she's going to say something about how even when people leave District 12, they're never really gone. And maybe she'll use the original story of Lucy Gray as an example. And maybe she uses this original story of Lucy Gray to tell President Snow that she knows what he did and who he's trying to forget. I also think that because Sid is so young, he might let it slip that Lenore Dove sings, and then either she'll be killed just because music is outlawed, or they'll ask her to sing on camera and she'll end up singing the Lucy Gray song, Pure as the Driven Snow, or another Covey song that would let Snow know that she's related to them. Suzanne Collins also mentioned that her reason for writing this book is because real or not real seems like a more pressing matter every day. So that means we're getting propaganda, baby. And it would not surprise me if Haymitch's family was killed for their own defiance, and yet Haymitch is led to believe that they're killed because of him. I also think it could be possible that the recording of the games were tampered with themselves. Hear me out. What if they changed the District 1 tribute's death? What if, when the axe came rebounding over the edge, it didn't hit her in the head, it hit her somewhere else? This would then give this tribute and Haymitch time to talk. And imagine, like, if she apologizes to him and she's like, I'm sorry for hurting you this way, I just had to get back to my family. And Haymitch says, I know, I have a family too. This would come across as creating unity in the districts, something that the Capitol does not want. Honestly, I don't really think that that's going to happen, because if the Capitol had the ability to tamper with the recording of the games, I think they probably would have just made it so that the District 1 girl missed Haymitch, and then Haymitch picks up the axe and kills her with it. But regardless, we know that Haymitch still won, and I think that as he's getting off the train from the Capitol, like literally he's walking out onto the platform, he looks across and can see his family on the stand about to be hanged. And at this time, someone will be singing the Hanging Tree song. Either Lenore Dove or even possibly Katniss's father starts the song in the crowd. That's pretty much all I got for Sunrise on the Reaping. Honestly, these predictions could be totally bull. I just think it would be kind of cool to see in the books. I did pre-order the book, but I probably won't get around to reading it until after school is over. But you can still tell me if I'm right in the comments. But that's it for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, have a great rest of your day.